Hi there. I just watched Hickory Croft's garden tour, I think number 3 for the season, and I thought I would show what I've got going on here. Lots of gardens. Come along on a tour. So, we'll start here at the lean-to. We've got indeterminate tomatoes growing along here, Amish paste, and a few other little experimental things. We've got peppers up above the retaining wall, which I built last fall, and they're on landscape fabric that usually makes it easy for them to grow in, no weeds, and it keeps the moisture and keeps them relatively dry. There's no irrigation on that one. A bed of strawberries and oats coming up in there. We've got irrigation on some of this stuff. We've got Scotia tomatoes from Hickory Croft Farm, and I'm running those on a sort of a weave trellis. Some carrots in here, some broccoli. I've been cutting the heads on the broccoli already. They've got some decent heads on them. It's a nice head. This one had the biggest head, and lots of little side shoots coming now. And I also did plant this one. What do you call that? I can't even think of what these are called now. Kohlrabies. And yeah, I was just surprised at how well the bulb formed up. It's a massive looking bulb. You can see my hand beside it. So I might be planting more of those in a week or so. And then we've got our sugar snap peas, which are okay this year, but they didn't actually grow very well. And a random cucumber. Jump over here. We've got more broccoli in here. A random squash that came up there. I haven't planted this stuff out. More strawberries. And I've got a nice, I like to do this every year, where we take cherry tomatoes and we trellis them up, and then they weave into the deck, and they keep growing up that way. Over here we've got our shallots, and red onions. Some of these are from Hickory Croft Farm too, and they're doing good. They're just starting to swell, and they'll be bulbing up in the next month. Along the edges of this fence I've planted some dwarf peas, cucumbers, the odd cherry tomato that I had, Scotia tomato in a container. We've also got some Somerset grapes growing along the edge there. All right. This is a new garden. The chickens were fenced in here last year, but I've moved a bunch of rhubarb out over here. We're doing some potatoes, and then we've got a whole bunch of different flowers. Sunflower and red broomcorn in here. That's a little bit too dense. And then, some Russian mammoth sunflower. And some tarp over here to keep the blackberries at bay. And then over in this garden, I call it the barn garden because the rabbit barn's there. I've got this canteen gourd growing. I think this thing's going to be a jungle. But canteen gourd's just something I was interested in playing around with. These are Yukon Gold potatoes, 3 rows of those. Those are they're really tall, a lot of growth on them. They're just gonna start flowering soon. We've got a couple different zucchinis in here, yellow crooked neck squash from Hickory Croft Farm again. And this was originally a carrot bed, but the germination was so bad in here, I ended up transplanting a few beets. And then there's a few carrots at the back, but I just converted it to a squash bed. The garlic that I planted last fall, all the scapes are off those now. This is my comfrey patch that I feed to rabbits, and a couple of bronze fennel coming back from last year in there. And I've been hitting this heavy, giving it to the rabbits and making some comfrey tea, horrible stinky stuff. And the asparagus is sort of moderately okay this year. I think I need to pick it more to make the crowns larger or something. And this is just another empty bed in the middle there too. I haven't planted with anything. And some chicks. This is a view of my, what I call my market garden, although I'd say about half the beds aren't even really planted with anything. But that's changing because I'm going to be doing a little bit of farmer's market stuff, probably just doing radishes, lettuce, microgreens, and then I've got some other experimental stuff on the sides in here, but I'll go along and show you what I've got. So we've got, this is Canada crookneck squash. I think I only planted 4 in here this year. Last year I had about double this and way too much squash. Over here we've got Kajuri melons. I don't know how jungly these get, but I have 2 in each hole, and I can always rip out one if I need to on each of those holes. This is just a bunch of lettuce that either overwintered or came back, and some rye that somehow came up. I'm gonna cut through here. These are actually broad beans. It's like a cover crop broad bean, not the big seeded one. But these I'm probably just gonna cut down after they flower. I don't think I'm going to be saving seed from those, I don't think. We've got a dense bed of radishes in here. Those will be going to market. A succession of those followed. Over here we've got provider green beans. Nice row there, and then I've got a succession coming in here. And interestingly, I planted 3 different types of beans. They were a package that somebody gave me. I thought, oh, I'll just compare them to the provider bean, but you know, the provider beans, they germinate so much faster and nicer. These are the provider beans at the end. I think these are some sort of yellow bean and then some sort of French. I can't remember the name, the variety, but we'll see how they do compared to the provider bean. I've been growing the provider bean for 10 years, and I can't say that I'm disappointed with that. This is going to be a double bed of radishes, just planted yesterday. And then we've got lots of lettuce in here. We've got about 600 lettuce plants in here, and this is a succession. I guess I'll show you a couple other things. I just planted some oat. Yeah, this is oats. And then there's overwintering Swiss chard in here. I probably won't keep any of the seed, but it was like the only thing growing in the garden a month ago, so I just left it. But I have tons of that seed. I don't need to get any more, really. And then this is just a bunch of random things all mashed together. A lot of it's going to flower and neglected. Some more broccoli. This is a purple peacock broccoli. Just trying that out. And I won't go all the way over there because the apple tree's in the way, but there's just some more different types of broccoli and a failed bed of beets. And this empty bed was a cropped out radish bed. And not much else to show. There's lots of apples on the apple tree, and I bagged a bunch, but unfortunately some of the bags had gypsy moth larvae in them, and they've eaten everything in the bags. But we might get something off the apple tree this year. We have really major pest issues. Also, the gypsy moths are all on the plums, but they're not causing a lot of damage. The plums flowered heavily, but they didn't really produce anything that stayed on. We had a whole bunch of insects come in and sort of munch on all the plums, and they all fell down. This tree's covered in aphids. I don't know if you can see any of that. Mess of aphids. I'm just sort of leaving it. It's covered in aphids, so there were lots of ladybug larvae on there. And over here are the raspberries. The raspberries are pumping out this year. We're going to have loads of raspberries, hopefully. May need to water it to keep it. It seems like there's almost too many berries. But anyway, that is the tour of the gardens this year.